Made with Spoken. Celestial Convergence Dragons of Vacari No. 3 by T.A. McEvoy. Digital narration, performed by multiple digital voices. The morning sky over Goldmoor shimmered with early mist, but its peace felt brittle-like. The land itself was holding its breath. On a wind-carved cliff, Kimras stood with wings folded tight, tail lashing in restless arcs. Memories pressed against him. Keisha bound in Shadow's grip, the firestorm when he and Amara had torn her free. The same dread whispered through the air now, gnawing at his heart like teeth. Below, at the edge of the purple firewoods, Amara rested on a moss-cloaked ridge. Her violet scales fractured the dawn into prisms of flame, but her gaze was fixed on Kimras. She felt it too, the shiver in the wind, the warning before the storm. He descended beside her in a gust that rattled the trees.
"You're leaving,"
she said before he spoke. Kimras dipped his head, golden mane catching the light.
"I need you to watch over Goldmoor and the Purple Fire. Keep the forests safe, and stay in contact with Ong."
Her violet eyes narrowed.
"Where?"
His gaze never left the east.
"Lyra'el. I cannot say why. Only that something is wrong with Keisha."
His voice was quiet, but iron threaded through every word. Silence pressed close, broken only by the whisper of wind in the trees. Amara shifted her wings.
"Do you want me to go to Crystal Vale? I could warn Ong."
"Yes,"
Kimras said, gentle but firm.
"Tell him I have gone to Lyra'el, nothing more. Until I know the truth, there is no need to sow fear."
She studied him, jaw tight, then inclined her head.
"Very well, but be cautious. Whispers already stir that the Shadow and the Abyssal walk Vacari's skies again."
"I have heard,"
Kimras rumbled, a growl beneath his words.
"It only confirms what I feel. Danger is nearer than we think."
Their silence was not emptiness, but trust tempered in fire, proven on battlefields where timing and faith meant survival. Amara lowered one claw to his shoulder.
"Then fly fast."
Kimras bowed his head, molten eyes steady.
"Guard the forests well."
With a thunderous sweep of wings, he rose into the mist, scales blazing until he became a streak of gold against the morning sky. Amara watched him vanish, the purple blossoms trembling as wind rushed through their boughs like an unspoken vow. She turned west, unease pressing her toward Crystal Vale. The crystalline towers blazed under the midday sun, their faceted walls scattering light in 1,000 colors. Amara's landing struck harder than she intended, talons cracking crystal stone. From the palace steps, Ong broke into a run, boots ringing. "Amara, what's wrong?" She lowered her head, violet eyes aflame.
"Kimras has gone to Lyra'el. He felt something amiss with Keisha. He could not name it, but he was certain."
Ong froze mid-step. Fear cracked through his mask of resolve. "Then I'm going too." The words came sharp, almost a challenge, though dread edged them. "She could be hurt right now. I won't stand here." Amara barred his path with one great claw.
"He asked me to tell you, but not to follow. He will see the truth himself before panic spreads."
"That's easy for him to say," Ong snapped, fists tightening. "She's my wife."
"Standing still is not the same as doing nothing,"
Amara said, calm but commanding.
"Kimras knows what he does. If danger comes, you will feel it, and you will have your chance. But if you rush blind, you risk more than your own life."
His gaze faltered. Storm held tight in his chest. "I should be there." Footsteps echoed on crystal stone. Gylon appeared with King Manard at his side.
"Kimras would not ask for patience unless it were needful,"
Gylon said, steady though unease lingered in his eyes. Manard's voice was grave, edged with sorrow. "She is in the care of dragons, Ong. She is not unprotected. Wait for word before you move." Ong's fists remained clenched until his gaze met Amara's, steadfast, unyielding, softened by memory. She lowered her head, her voice only for him.
"We have stood in fire before, you and I. The last time you charged without trust, it nearly cost us all. Do not let fear blind you now. Trust me to watch the skies for you."
His breath came rough. Slowly his fists uncurled. "Fine," he muttered. "For now." Amara's tone gentled.
"Guard your strength. You may need it soon."
With a single sweep of her vast wings, she launched skyward, violet fire scattering through the mist as she vanished into the clouds. Ong watched her go, the ache of distance heavy in his chest. At last he turned toward the glade, where stone dragons towered in silent vigil. Their carved wings stretched long shadows across him as he sank to the roots at their feet.
"They never failed their riders,"
he whispered. His hand closed on his hilt.
"And neither will I fail Keisha ever again."
The wind stirred through the glade, whispering across stone wings like a vow. Far to the east, thunder rolled a reminder that silence in Vacari never lingered. The outer gates of Lyra'el gleamed with wards and silver fire, steady against the morning sky. Then a vast shadow swept across the heavens. Kimras. He descended with a roar that split the air, golden wings blazing brighter than dawn. The stone trembled under his talons as he struck the terrace before the gates. The celestial guards stiffened, halberds lowering, eyes wide.
"Who is that?"
one whispered.
"Should we summon the High Council? No one lands at the threshold like that."
Kimras' tail cracked thunder against the ground. From a high balcony, Radiantus lifted his head, argent mane scattering brilliance. Recognition burned in his silver gaze.
"Kimras,"
he murmured.
"and not in the mood to wait."
He vanished in a blaze of light, reappearing at the gates an instant later. Calm authority radiated from him, steadying the guards.
"Stand aside,"
Radiantus said.
"This is Kimras, noble gold dragon of Vacari. He has come for his rider."
At the name, murmurs rippled through the onlookers. A citizen at the wall whispered with certainty.
"A bond between a noble dragon and their rider is not to be challenged, least of all by shadow."
The guards bowed low and stepped back, their faces filled with reverence. Radiantus turned to his brother.
"She lives. The healers work even now. The worst has been stemmed, but the wound is deep."
Molten fire lit Kimras's eyes, rage smouldering beneath his sorrow. He had sworn to shield her from every shadow, yet she had bled while he was away.
"Take me to her,"
he rumbled, voice like a vow. Radiantus inclined his shining head.
"Come, we will speak more within."
Together, the ancients passed through the gates, filling the archway with gold and platinum light. The crystal doors closed behind them like a roll of thunder. Above, the ward steadied once more, silver threads binding light across the sky. Yet the heavens seemed taut, as though they remembered the brush of shadowed wings. Lyra'el still blazed with brilliance, but only just. The skies above Lyra'el shimmered with quiet magic, but in the darker reaches of Vacari, shadows stirred with purpose, and silence no longer meant peace. Rhys stood atop the obsidian balcony of the umbral hall. The city sprawled below like a maze of secrets. Far above, the surface sky was only a memory here. The air was cool, heavy, and touched with the faint scent of oil lamps and iron. His fingers traced the edge of a glass vial, empty now but recently filled with a slow-working poison that had thinned the leadership council one by one. No one had suspected. Now, with new members in place, those who owed their positions to his whispered promises, only one obstacle remained. Maedra, the herbalist, the poison mistress, the one who had unknowingly taught him everything he needed to destroy her. He had not forgotten the way she once looked at him, first with pride, later with suspicion. Somewhere, buried deep, resentment smouldered. She had underestimated him, and he had waited. Had she stayed in the shadows, he might have let her live. But she still held sway among the commoners, still walked the markets with respect from traders and outcasts alike. If anyone could name him as her student, if anyone looked too closely, that could not happen. He did not draw his blade, he drew whispers instead. In Vacari, fear travelled faster than fact and truth, once fractured, rarely healed. That was all he needed. Soon the umbral market hummed with quiet rumours.
Major's been meeting someone from the surface.
She's storing sealed letters. No one knows who they're for.
She's been stockpiling herbs that enhance Eladrin's strength. Why would she need those?
By the time the council heard them, belief had already taken root. A pouch of gleaming Eladrin moonleaf appeared behind a loose stone in her stall. A coded message, perfectly forged in her hand, slipped into her private ledger. Vials unmarked, their contents carefully chosen, were buried in her garden with markings only the council would recognize as surface alchemy. When the accusations came, the evidence was already in place.
She's been conspiring with the Eladrin,
one council member said. Torchlight wavered in the chamber, painting the walls in restless shadow.
She's hidden herbs meant to strengthen umbral warriors,
Another added.
She means to betray us all.
Rhys stood quietly near the back. He didn't need to speak. His satisfaction was not in gloating, but in knowing the trap had been set long before their voices rose. Maedra was taken in the night. No trial, no public spectacle, just silence and a missing face in the morning. But as they dragged her away, her pale eyes turned once, catching his and not pleading. Not afraid, simply knowing. It was a look that struck deep, half accusation, half recognition. She knew what he had done, and even as she vanished into the dark, her silence pressed against him like a weight. He smiled anyway, bitter, hollow.
You taught me too well.
But he was not finished.
If Maedra was capable of such betrayal,
he murmured in the right ears,
who else knew? I have always wondered about those who visited her often. We would be wise to watch them.
It spread like smoke under a closed door. Soon, a handful of umbral elves who had once supported her faced the same judgment. Evidence was convenient and irrefutable, tying them to quiet meetings, suspicious purchases, and discreet donations. Some were exiled, others were never seen again. The fear Rhys had sown now grew without tending, and his control deepened. By morning he stood before the reshaped council, poised, calm, ready to call the next vote. The council chamber was lit in muted violet flame, the air heavy with the scent of burned resin. Dark stone banners hung above, motionless despite the faint stir of underground drafts. One of the new members rose.
We must choose a single path forward. One voice, one leader.
I nominate Rhys,
Another called. A murmur of agreement followed. Another name was offered, but without conviction. The vote was quick, unanimous. Rhys lowered his head slightly, feigning humility.
You honor me more than I deserve,
he said in a voice shaped for trust. It was a lie, of course. This was not their will. It was Lyra's. He had worn the mask long enough for them to think it was theirs. He stepped forward, letting his voice fill the chamber.
Let us begin a new era, one where shadows no longer bow, where the forgotten rise and the world remembers why it feared the dark.
His tone sharpened, a blade hidden in velvet.
It is time the umbral elves claimed their rightful place. No more hiding, no more silence. We will align with the Druchii, take their strength, their ruthlessness. Their enemies tremble at the sound of their name, and so shall ours.
He paced slowly, each step measured.
For too long, we were bound by roots sunk too deep in caution. Those roots are gone.
The pause stretched until a slow clap broke it. Another joined in, then another. The sound swelled, echoing off stone walls until the chamber trembled with approval. Rhys smiled, the expression a mask over calculation. He had not asked for power. He had removed everything that could deny it. When the applause faded, he raised a hand.
I will not govern alone. I appoint 6 commanders who will carry my directives, oversee our operations, and speak my will.
6 umbral elves stepped forward hardened, cunning and loyal. One bowed.
There was an incident a few days past. A rumor of an Eladrin female near the outskirts. She was attacked and wounded.
Rhys's gaze sharpened a flicker of recognition, of unease but smooth to indifference.
Name!
Not yet, but we will find it.
Rhys nodded once.
See that you do.
He turned back to the council.
Begin issuing the new orders. Ready the outposts. Let the whispers spread again.
Without fanfare, he left the chamber, descending into the deeper halls where torchlight gave way to pure darkness. His new quarters awaited a chamber carved into obsidian, lined with silver-threaded maps and scrolls. In silence, he dipped a quill and wrote a single message.
It is done.
He did not sign it, did not seal it with wax. As the ink dried, he sat back, letting the stillness coil around him. Maedra's knowing eyes still lingered in his memory, but he shoved them into shadow. Lyra would be pleased. That was what mattered. Far above, in the bright skies of Lyra'el, alliances stirred, binding themselves in trust and hope. Below, in the roots of the world, Rhys bound his council in silence and fear. 2 songs now rose across Vacari, one of light, one of shadow, and only one would endure. The halls of Lyra'el were hushed, their silence broken only by the measured tread of 2 cloaked figures. Radiantus led Kimras through the inner sanctum of the celestial enclave, footsteps echoing over marble veined with silver light. As they neared the chamber where Keisha lay, both dragons shed their true forms. Radiantus became a tall elf, hair streaked with argent, eyes luminous as starlight. Kimras chose a human guise, golden-haired, sapphire-eyed, his presence no less commanding for its smaller frame. Within the healing chamber, the air shimmered with quiet enchantments. Crystalline walls pulsed with soft radiance, the stone itself humming with restorative power. On the bed, Keisha lay pale and still, her breath shallow but steady. Valion sat at her side, a vial of salve trembling in his hands. He had not opened it. Shoulders hunched, his gaze clung to her face as if sheer will might keep her tethered. When the door opened, he leapt to his feet, voice cracking.
"Are you the healers? She hasn't moved. Her breathing's steady, but I think—"
Radiantus raised a hand, calm and commanding.
I am Radiantus, Platinum Dragon of Lyra'el.
Valion froze, nearly dropping the vial.
"Oh, sorry, I didn't recognize you."
Kimras ignored him. He crossed the chamber in 3 strides and knelt beside the bed, his hand trembling as he brushed a strand of fiery hair from Keisha's face. His jaw clenched. Golden light flared beneath his mortal skin, threatening to break free.
Voraxia and Vorathos injured her,
Radiantus said quietly, steel threading his tone. Kimras rose slowly, voice taut with fury.
Was it in battle?
Radiantus's diamond-like silver eyes softened, though his expression stayed grave.
No. She was escorting Valion on a Pegasus toward Lyra'el. They struck without provocation. It was deliberate, calculated.
Kimras's hands curled into fists. His voice deepened into a growl too vast for the form he wore.
Then this is the work of the one in shadows, the same hand that whispers poison into dragons' ears, the same will that twisted Varus.
For a moment silence pressed like stone. Valion's breath caught his eyes darting between them. Kimras turned not in accusation, but in heavy realization. Keisha had taken the risk for someone else. For this. The golden dragon's voice dropped into a rumble, thunder contained in human lungs.
They will answer for this.
The chamber stilled, as if the very walls braced themselves against the fury gathering in his words. Valion lowered his gaze, voice breaking.
It was my fault. I should have stayed with her. She sent me ahead to the gate, but I should have gone back.
Memory slashed through him. Keisha's eyes, fierce even as blood streaked her lips, her voice commanding him to go. He had obeyed. And because he had, she had faced the storm alone. Guilt gnawed at him, raw and merciless. Radiantus turned, his voice calm but confident.
No, you did the right thing. Your warning is the reason we arrived in time. Without it, she would already be lost.
Kimras nodded once, though his gaze never left Keisha.
He's right.
A long silence stretched. At last, Kimras looked thoroughly at Valion. His expression was a mix of steel and sorrow, but his tone held unexpected steadiness.
Then tell me, Valion, why did she not call for me to take you both?
The words struck harder than any blow. For a heartbeat, even Kimras felt doubt gnaw at the edges of his resolve. She had always called for him when danger loomed, always. Had she feared he would not come in time, or feared he would not come at all? Valion's shoulders sagged. His throat worked, but only a whisper emerged.
Because I was afraid of flying on a dragon.
Kimras's hands tightened at his sides. He exhaled through his nose, air sharp with restrained fire. Slowly he shook his head.
That will change. A celestial dragon will teach you to ride not for war but for survival. You will never be a dragon rider, Valion. But the times we live in demand more than fear. Pegasus wings will not always be enough.
He did not say it aloud, but the vow burned behind his words. Never again would Keisha be left to fight alone because of another's weakness. Valion opened his mouth, pride bristling, but then his gaze fell on Keisha, pale, still. Her breath shallow, her fingers limp where once they had gripped reins with defiance. Shame pricked his skin, hot and unrelenting. Whatever protest rose died on his tongue. He nodded once.
Okay.
Radiantus inclined his head, quiet approval flickering in his silver gaze. As they left the chamber, Kimras's voice dropped low.
Was there a place she could have landed, had she let the Pegasus go?
Radiantus answered with measured calm.
Yes. A narrow ledge along the ridge. Treacherous, but survivable. She chose not to risk it for the creature's sake.
Kimras's jaw flexed. He saw it clearly in his mind. Keisha, even wounded, choosing to shield a beast rather than herself. Her heart always reaches outward, always carrying the weight of others. It was who she was, and what made her vulnerable.
Typical of her,
he muttered, half pride, half anguish. His eyes burned hotter, golden light beneath mortal skin straining to break free.
But those dark dragons.
Radiantus did not answer, but the steel in his silence was enough. Without another word, the two dragons strode from the chamber. Outside, noonday light blazed across the balcony. Their mortal guises dissolved, platinum and gold erupting into the sky, wings unfurling, scales blazing like suns brought to earth. The city of Lyra'el shone around them, radiant and unbroken, but the light they carried was edged with fire. They moved along the crystalline pathway toward the inner spire, when a pair of umbral elves, leaning near a garden wall, let their whispers carry.
Good. It was an Eladrin that got hit. Maybe now Lyra'el will realize things are changing. Rhys won't be playing by their rules.
Kimras halted. His molten gold eyes narrowed. Before either elf could flinch, his tail lashed out, knocking them to the ground. They gasped, scrambling upright, faces pale with shame. Radiantus stepped forward, voice low but edged with iron.
You will watch your words. One more whisper of that kind, and the umbral elves will find themselves banned from Lyra'el for eternity.
The threat hung in the air like thunder waiting to break. Kimras loomed beside him, golden scales rippling with restrained fury. He did not roar for vengeance. He roared so they would understand what Keisha meant to him. From deep within, his dragon's voice tore free a raw, resonant sound that shook the spires and sent flocks wheeling into the sky. Not an attack, but a vow. A declaration of war. From a nearby balcony, a celestial citizen leaned toward her companion, a faint, knowing smile on her lips.
A bond between a noble dragon and their rider,
she murmured,
is not something a dark dragon should ever test.
Her friend nodded gravely.
Especially not that one.
Radiantus placed a steadying claw on Kimras's shoulder and inclined his head toward the spire.
Come, there is something we must address, now.
They followed the pathway winding toward the grand hall, which overlooked the endless sea. As they passed an open terrace, the horizon stretched wide before them. Beyond the waves, shrouded in silver mist, an island rose like a phantom its cliffs gleaming faintly in the midday light.
That,
Radiantus said, his gaze narrowing on the distant silhouette,
is Vaindralis. Few beyond the Celestial Council know its name. Once it was a sanctuary for dragons in the first. Since then, it has remained sealed by divine wards. It is not a place we speak of lightly, and rarer still is the need to stand upon it.
Kimras's eyes stayed fixed on the island.
Why show me now?
Radiantus's expression did not shift.
Because the world is moving, Kimras. Whether this season or another, the day may come when Vaindralis matters again, and when it does, I would have you ready, not caught unawares.
Kimras rumbled deep in his chest but said nothing more. At the heart of the grand hall stood an ancient crystal obelisk, humming with restrained power. Its surface pulsed with light, ready to carry a message across every corner of the realm. Radiantus stepped forward, pressing one claw against the conduit. Light flared within, spiraling upward in radiant threads. His voice carried with it, amplified and unyielding, echoing across Lyra'el and beyond.
To all citizens of Lyra'el Eladrin, Fae, Druki, Umbral, and beyond. Today, an Eladrin was struck down on sacred soil by dragons who defied our skies, and some among you dared to whisper that her suffering was a sign of change.
His tone hardened, ringing like a blade unsheathed.
Hear me well. There will be no uprising from within. There will be no tolerance for cruelty paraded as strength. Lyra'el stands for unity and balance. If the Umbral Elves or any among you believe Rhys's ambition will open these gates, they will instead find them sealed against them forever.
When his words faded, silence filled the chamber, broken only by the low thrum of the obelisk's light. Radiantus lowered his claw and turned to Kimras, diamond-like silver eyes sharp.
Now, let us hope the rest of them are listening.
A vow burned unspoken in both of them. Let the shadows test their resolve. They would see what dragons protected, and what dragons would never allow to fall. In a narrow corridor overlooking the hall, hidden by a veil of shadow, Rhys stood listening. His lips curled into a sly smile.
We will see, Radiantus,
he whispered, voice low with satisfaction.
Even if you ban us, the dark has its ways.
One of his new commanders emerged from the gloom, bowing low.
My lord, I have confirmed the name of the Eladrin. It was Keisha.
Rhys's eyes gleamed like cold steel catching firelight. He gave a single sharp nod, then turned without a word, striding back into the depths of the umbral hall. In his private chamber, lit only by rune-marked maps and shifting shadow, he summoned an enchanted scroll. With deliberate strokes, he wrote 3 words.
It is done.
He sealed the message and let it vanish into the waiting dark. Far above, the light of Lyra'el burned brighter. Far below, the roots of shadow twisted, carrying Rhys's words to the one who waited in silence.
Professional audiobooks in a click.
Spoken.